you see that what we are talking about is not a rejection of all functions, all professions, all duties in what one has to do, but it's very much like being an actor in a play or in a film. You're performing, but you're not, whilst you perform with great talent and you know, with the required emotions and so on, at the end of your work day, one avoids the psychosis by not taking. Well, some people have to remain in character, but there's a danger in that. And the more one remains in character, the more one can be lost in the drama of a psychosis. If one is playing a serial killer, for instance, you know, with great talent and has absorbed that kind of energy, one doesn't want to leave the studio and start living the life of a serial killer with the same compulsions and so on. It seems extraordinary that, and those are extreme cases. But again, we're talking about what in the Zen warrior sessions that Sam Morris conducts, there are, one examines these things in a completely different way. What is interesting is that one witnesses people's reaction to those propositions as a kind of often a retreat into the shell of so-called self. You know, oh, but I and my this and my that. And in order to embrace that kind of freedom of this sort of Zen idea, one has to at least temporarily lay that burden aside, that burden of the part, in order to get that glimpse. That's the purpose of all practices, such as meditation and so on. It's not to divest. One cannot stop the ideas from, you know, people have trouble meditating because they're buffeted by ideas, but the idea is to calm the mind, to be like the river, like somebody meditating on the shores of a river. The river is tumultuous and flows by. As long as one isn't dragged by the flow down into the rapids, and one can be on the shore, and the river just goes by, it doesn't mean that the flow has stopped. It means that one has been able to separate from being dragged along with that. That's probably the function of any such practices. And that is why, at a certain level, there are almost inconceivably difficult things that can be achieved, such as the blindfolded archer, you know, first being able to pull on the bow, which is without making the tremendous, what appears to be a muscular thing. There's a flow to the movement, and the arrow goes to the center of the target because it does it through one. And that, in a sense, all function can be aimed in that way, so that it manifests through one one can, in a sense, make it one's own, yet it's a question of not mistaking and taking credit for things, saying, well, I'm doing this, I'm so great, and, patting oneself on the back. There's a lot of those type of compensations that occur because one seems to require confirmation. Therefore, when one talks of love, how many people can love without any kind of desire to be loved in return? It would, however difficult that may seem, it is the key to this, to everything, is this ability not to get anything back for that which one loves. One isn't loving to be loved in return, but the principles of the lessons of human love are always taught, well, the great, the song Nature Boy, the greatest thing you'll ever learn is to love and be loved in return. So you need the payback, then it's if it requires some, love is, with a capital L, is a sublime thing, not just an emotion, a feeling that often turns into hatred after the initial attraction is gone and one finds out one doesn't get along. So it was not love, it was infatuation, it was whatever one wants to call it. Yeah, and then people say that they found their soulmates and things like that. And of course, there's, with that rule that this is one of the, possibly one of the most dangerous illusions, is the soulmate type of idea, because the true soulmate is within, is not without. And only by reconciling the opposites that coexist within oneself, one isn't all white, all black, but there's this totality. And by refusing to deal with the shadow, one isn't quite able to deal with the light.